Hi, friends. I'm Flutter. I just wanted to show you that I do go outside. And today we're going to talk about why I think storytelling is so important, in particular in VR. So it's still a little chilly these days, hasn't gotten to be summer yet. So let's make a warm drink and head inside. Recently, I wrote an article on my brand new Substack called Why I Love Stories and Why They Matter in VR. So I encourage all of you to subscribe to my Substack and check that out. I'll put a link in the description. So I'm no longer on Patreon because I just felt that Substack might be a better fit. And so please, if you're following me on Patreon, if you can move over to Substack, I want to try that out and see if that fits better. This is a pretty bold assertion that I'm saying VR is the new art form. Well, is it? I don't know, but I am willing to explore this on a pretty serious level as if I'm going back to school for my master's degree or PhD, and this is my thesis or my dissertation project. Why I'm really interested in this topic is that I think it's relevant to where we're at in this age of AI and technological advances that are happening really quickly. It's hard to keep up with. I mean, I thought I couldn't keep up with social media, and I feel like things are just moving even faster today. I really enjoy VR. I enjoy seeing technology improve and progress, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm maintaining my humanity, and I really value human-made art and our human experience. And so I thought, what better way than to explore what makes classic art, classic literature, film, what are those elements and how can we bring them into VR so that we don't lose sight of what classic work means that's created by humans while using this really cool, innovative technology. A lot of artists are concerned that their expression doesn't matter anymore and that things are going to get really cheap because people are just going to try to make art really quick. And I really think that art takes time. Good art takes time, and you do need that time for reflection. You really can't rush art. And in this age of AI, I'd still like to explore, I do use AI here and there, but just because I'm a solo developer, I use it just for certain things to clarify something I'm working on or an idea, but I don't see it as an originator of an idea. That's where I come in. I think humans should be the originator of their story and pull from their experiences and their struggles of being a human being on this earth. VR just doesn't seem like another medium. To me, it feels like a paradigm shift because it's providing something different that the other art forms don't. Doesn't make it better. It's just that it changes our relationship to story and art. It provides presence and embodiment, something that these other forms don't. And I think that's worth exploring and seeing what we can do with that to bring us together. And then also for each of us to have some really great reflection on our own selves. Back in the Altspace days, I went to a birthday party. It was for someone named Greg, and I still don't know who Greg is, but it was a great time. We hopped between a lot of different worlds. And what made me want to go to the event is that they made it very clear that you were going to go to a Nine Inch Nails show. And I thought, I got to see this in VR. So I'm so glad I did. And I think what made it even better is because the moment was fleeting and it never happened again. And you couldn't go back to that world. So it did make it special. It felt like Trent Reznor and David Bowie were on stage and they were singing. And the models weren't super perfect or anything, but it felt like I was in this mid-sized, I would say, venue, kind of similar to the Metro in Chicago. And I'm probably saying that because for me, that's what I associated it with. But I'm sure people associated it with their own local music venue that they really liked. I turned to the person next to me and said, this world is pretty good. Like, I feel like I'm in this music venue. It really makes me feel like one that I've been to before. And he was like, I know, I can't believe it. So there you really saw a great example of presence. And then embodiment, you're feeling like your body is really there in the space. If you are, in what you could say, encompassing an avatar, then, there's where the sense of embodiment comes from. But that even can come from hand tracking or holding controllers to where your sensory is really getting pulled in that 3D space. And that's the difference there, is that you're using so much of your sensory, so much more of your senses than you normally do when you're experiencing other mediums. So I like that. And something that I don't want to lose is I don't want it to become so real that you don't even feel your real body anymore or know that you're in the real world. Something I like about film is like you can get lost in a film, but you definitely know that your couch is there, or if there was an fire alarm that went off in your house, like you could hear it. So I do like that. Same with VR. I don't think it needs to get so super detailed necessarily. I mean, it can, and it would be great if it did. But I think that the human imagination can really fill in some of those gaps, and that's what makes it pretty special too. Another example I use all the time is Walkabout Mini Golf. I know I say that a lot, but it's a social VR game with a very focused activity, which is miniature golf. And so there's not a lot of onboarding that you necessarily have to do if you've played golf at all, mini golf, or just, hit a ball around. And you're connecting with, family and friends within a theme and story together. And I love that. I think that you can create new memories that way. If we remove the frame and take away the stage, and now we are being put on the stage and into the frame, what does that mean? What's happening there? Artists, game developers, and storytellers are still exploring that question. And can this be a new art form? Not long ago, someone reached out to me from the game studio Games by Stitch, and they created a VR narrative called Broken Spectre. It is absolutely one of the best, if not the best, VR narrative that I've experienced so far as of this recording. I find it a little bit sad that this game studio had to reach out to me and that I had never even heard about this experience before until they reached out to me. So I am realizing that I'm going to have to do some more reviews because not enough people know about really good VR narratives, not even myself. I think it's just something that is either not being made a lot, and maybe it's not that common, or it's just not getting the attention it needs to get. Probably a little bit of all of that. Also, stories can only be played once, so the replayability may be not there as it is with other games, and so maybe people don't want to take the risk of making a VR narrative because of that, but I think it's worth the risk, and I am taking it. Broken Spectre is an awesome example of interactive storytelling in VR, in particular in the horror genre. Now, I am not the biggest horror fan unless it's ghosts. That's my favorite thing, but I do not like things that are gross or scary. So you're wondering now, why am I really promoting this horror game? Well, I have to say, the horror in this is a bit more mysterious, and the things that are a bit scary, I will tell you, okay, spoiler alert, there is a snake in it, but the snake is in a box, and so you can decide if you want to reach out and touch it or not. So I like that. All of the horror that is in this game are things that you can more slowly approach. But what I do like is that I think that it really explores the emotions and senses that VR can provide, that I was just talking about, presence and embodiment. There is, where you have to touch a snake. But hey, if you don't want to do it, just turn off your headset and don't do it. But what I did, because I was like, oh, as I knew what I was supposed to do, I'm like, I don't want to put my hand by that snake. I'm like, no way. But then I thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. I got to see how they did this because I'm feeling this emotion and it's totally not real. And I'm in the story, right? So I closed my eyes. I'm not kidding. I closed my eyes and I put my hand in there. So well done because, here I am closing my eyes. I do that in films sometimes too. Like if I don't want to see something like it's too gruesome or maybe it might trigger me or something, I'm like, so in VR, you can just maybe close your eyes or just stop the game. But see, and so I think that's a really good thing because, good job, Games by Stitch. You really pushed that part of virtual reality. And I think that's really awesome. Another thing I really like about Broken Spectre is that you're being led through the story linearly, so that you can finish the story and really get the whole experience, going through the whole narrative arc. However, you still do have agency in how you explore the area. You can go left or right, forward, backward. And as you go through this forest and start learning the pathway, in my mind, I started to kind of know where I was just based on how I was moving along the path. So I thought that was really neat. I was getting a sense of the environment by how I was moving through it. And then there'd be little mini games that further the story and you can interact more with the world. So I thought that was really well done. This is a great example of not just observing a story, but being an active participant in it. So I'd love to see what they come up with next. And I have definitely learned a lot from experiencing their game. There is potential for VR to create these deeply emotional experiences that bring us together. Does that mean we need to create multiplayer games or single player? I'm not exactly sure. I think both are necessary, and I'm going to experiment with both concepts. But that is something I also wonder as well. Can VR shape culture like books and stories and theater do? I don't know, but I am willing to find out. So I am on this journey, and I hope you will take it with me too. What's a story, regardless of the medium, that really made you feel like you were there? Let me know the story title and the medium in the comments. I encourage you to check out my Substack and subscribe there and tell your friends so that we can all create this community and explore this question together. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to this channel and I'll see you next time. Thanks, friends.